Welcome everybody to another episode of Elite Sports. This time I'm here with my co-host. We have not done an episode in a long time, but he's here in the flesh, not through Zoom. And this episode is going to be about his team specifically. Welcome to the lab, sir.
Yo. Shout out to Broncos Country.
Sure. So, like I said, this episode, I apologize for having only one microphone. For whatever reason, the setup that I had wasn't working. So today's episode is going to be focused on the Broncos, just like we did a couple of days ago. The Packers. It's just Broncos today. I know there's a Bucks banner in the back, but we do have some Broncos stuff in here. And, we want to talk about your football team because, every team deserves an episode. So first off, this is year 2 of Sean Payton. And, this has not been a consistent thing for you, especially with quarterbacks, right? Same quarterback, same coach. This is the first time you guys have had this in a long time. So
First time since John Fox. So I wish we would have done this episode earlier because lately there's been so much freaking hype on this team, fool. So much that I think the line went up for that first game. That I think we're like an 8-point favorite now. So, like I've been saying all off season, I'm really excited because we have I think we have the number one defense. And as a Broncos fan, we've had players like Champ Bailey, we've had players like Von Miller. But for the first time, we actually have an elite edge rusher and an elite corner. I'm really excited for this team. Not because of Bo Nix and Sean Payton, don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the continuity that we're going to have with those two. But overall, if you're a Broncos fan, it's going to be boring. If we want to ring, Bo's got to be boring. And what I mean by that is he's got to check it down, hand it off, not create turnovers. Last year he had 29 touchdowns, which is pretty impressive in my opinion, considering he was a rookie quarterback and we lacked weapons. But we brought in Evan Ingram, we drafted RJ Harvey, we signed J.K. Dobbins, and Pat Bryant and Joy Franklin have actually been looking so good that we traded our last year's 7th round pick and we got a 4th and a 7th. So shout out to the front office for doing that. But right now for year 2 for Bo and Sean, I'm excited because the signing with Evan Ingram, I've been telling, Alex and a lot of people, I just drafted him on my fantasy team because I really believe in this guy, that he's going to be probably our best weapon. His body style reminds me of Demarius, but he plays tight end. So that's one thing that we haven't had in the tight end position group probably since like Julius Thomas, but we'll see what happens. Overall, I'm expecting, oh, my bad. And pretty much, we're going to have the best defense. And as long as we have the best defense, we're going to be in every single game. And as long as we're in every single game, as long as Bo doesn't create turnovers and Sean keeps dialing up those plays for him, making it simple, we have that joker now with Evan Ingram. Cortland Sutton just got signed a new contract. And if you look at this guy's numbers, he's actually going to finish in the top 5 in receiving yards, touchdowns, catches for the Broncos. So we're actually witnessing one of the best Broncos in history at the wide receiver position.
Wow. So, I was going to ask you the question regarding your weapons, but it looks like you already jumped the gun. It looks like you feel pretty confident with the weapons. I know that people have been critical of your weapons, saying that, yeah, you do have the number one defense. You have a good coach. Quarterback is on the rise, but people have questioned the weapons. To be very frank, I don't know a lot of those players you mentioned, but you're the fan of the team, and if you feel confident in the team, hopefully they pan out for your football team because it is a tough division. Honestly, I think this is the first time though that this division is going to be wide open. I know the Chiefs have pretty much dominated the division the entire 2000.
They've actually won the division for the last 9 years, and if they win this year, it will be the 10th year. So, yeah, fuck the Chiefs.
That's fucking insane. 10 years in a row. Yeah, you guys got to fucking put a stop to this shit. Even if it's not you guys, Raiders, Chargers, somebody, please knock out this fucking team already. I am fucking tired of the Chiefs winning the damn, division, getting to the Super Bowl. It's time for them to reign to end. And I think this is a year where, for sure, one of you guys in that division is going to give them a challenge. And I am pretty excited to see what Sean Payton does in year 2, like you said, because that continuity at quarterback and coach is so crucial. And he's homegrown. This is somebody he drafted. And to see what he's going to be able to do in year 2 under that same system, I'm pretty excited for your football team. right? So now the next thing is, based on what we just talked about, team record. I know last year you guys were what 10-7?
So, somewhere around there, I think. Yeah, I believe so.
So, we obviously your schedule is going to be a little more difficult. I would assume, because you guys had a winning record. You didn't win the division, right? But you still had a winning record. Do you see yourselves improving from 10-7? Do you guys see yourselves around the same record, or I'm assuming you're not going to say worse? So,
Well, to be frank, I'm actually pretty excited. This is probably the most excited I've been for this team since we had Peyton Manning, heading back to the Super Bowl. And that being said, I feel like this is going to be our year that we take the division. I see us going 12-5, and the Chiefs are going to be struggling. I think for the last 3 years, the fact that they were going to win 3 Super Bowls in a row was the big motivation factor for them. Don't get me wrong, guys like Pat and Kelsey, I'm pretty sure they're still going to be motivated. But everybody else, it takes a lot to win. Not only that, but I don't know if you heard about Rashid Rice. He's going to be suspended for the first 6 games. So that's one less weapon. And as much as Kelsey, as motivated as he is, he just got married. He's focusing on other shit. This was at the later part of his career. He's pretty much done, bro. Like, realistically speaking, if he gets 500 yards, I'll be fucking surprised, to be honest with you. But other than that, the Chiefs don't scare me, and I just think that we're on the rise, and that defense, like I said, is going to keep us in a lot of games. And if you look at our first 4 weeks, there's a lot of winnable games. So many winnable games. So we could just start off like how we've always done it, 4-0, 5-0, and then figure stuff out from there. But overall, I think we're going to win the division. The Chiefs' reign is over, and Bo Nix and PS2, Nick Bonito, Zach Allen are going to handle it.
It's a very bold prediction, guys. So he's saying here they're going to win the division. Again, considering how tough that division is going to be, I believe probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest divisions in the NFL. And I know there's also been critique on your running game, right? Specifically from, Lewis, a.k.a. Talk That Shit, doesn't believe in your running backs, right? And one of the things that I've argued is that Sean Payton does not have a bell cow type running back. He has multiple running backs. And I know this because as a Bucs fan, seeing him play against our team, he always had different guys who were able to suit up and, play against us. So I know you guys recently signed J.K. Dobbins, but is he going to be the bell cow? Is he going to be the guy who carries the team, or do you guys have different roles for these running backs?
Well, players like Derrick Henry, Saquon, they're getting like 1,800 yards, 1,900 yards, 2,000. Those guys are on elite category, and we're not going to have anything like that. We're going to have, like you said, we're going to have a mixture of Jaleel, we're going to have a mixture of J.K. and R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey, we drafted in the second round. We've heard Lewis was talking a lot of shit because he started off in the depth chart and with I think he was 4th in the depth chart, but so was Bo Nix. Sean does not give away jobs for him. He makes you earn it. He's not going to just be like, all right, here's your job. He makes people earn it, and it's going to be a competition, and that's fine. Whoever is the hot hand is going to be running the ball. One thing I am concerned as a Broncos fan, though, is that every free agent signing that we've gotten is injury prone, has had an issue of not being able to stay in full injury, whether that's Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, Evan Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins. All these guys that we picked up, super excited for. They're all dogs. They're all sick-ass fools on the field when they're playing. But the problem is they're not always on the field. So that's my only issue and my concern as a fan is that all these guys that we picked up, all these free agent signings, they sound cool and everything, but are they going to stay consistent and actually stay on the field?
That's a really good thing to consider, and it's a good thing as a fan to also recognize that, because if they don't pan out, then it's almost like pointless to have them on a team. And as a Bucs fan who has seen, not recently, but in years past, I remember we would sign guys like Darrelle Revis and, Deshaun Goldson and Ian Gold and guys like this. No, we didn't. No? Nope. Hell no. He left. He left, and then he won a championship with the Patriots. Yeah, so we signed him for 1 year, gave him multiple deals. It was a huge contract, and didn't pan out. Got away the next year. So I get that. It's pretty frustrating to see that. So hopefully these guys do pan out, and they're able to, play for you guys. And like I said, any of these teams that are part of the season that, we're trying to create, I'm rooting for all of us. You know, the Raiders, the Packers, you guys, obviously my team, and even the Bengals. Of course, you know, if it comes to my team, you know, then I'm not going to root again for you guys. But in the season, I am. And so I'm happy that you guys did make these moves. And I think this was the first year that, actually, no, the Bengals didn't make the playoffs. So. No. Well, this is the first year that both of our teams made the playoffs since like 2005, I think. So it would be cool to see them, you know, going back and seeing them win, you know, again, because I know last year it was 1 and out, but, you know, you guys played the Bills. It wasn't an easy game, right? So even though you did sign these free agents, you did have a big in-house signing, which is always good to see these guys get paid, right? Zach Allen. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, I am so excited as a Broncos fan that we brought back Zach Allen. Everybody thought we were going to re-sign Nick Bonito because he's been a big-ass splash. You know, Casa Bonito, you know, I think he was like number 36 or 38 in the top 100. But if you're a Broncos fan and you've been watching football, you know we got to sign Zach Allen, bro. You know, Aaron Donald wore number 99, but Zach Allen wears it really well, fool. Like, this fool, I think he led the lead in pressures. He had about 8 or 9 sacks at the D-tackle position, bro. So the fact that we got him, he's a quiet guy. He's in-house. We developed him and drafted him. And it's been great, you know. So him pairing up with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, who we just signed again last year from in-house as well, is going to be deadly, to say the least, for our defense.
Yeah, it's good to see that, again, you know, him getting signed. But you also did mention that Bonito needs a new contract. And, you know, you always want to keep these guys together because the window for the Super Bowl is always very limited. You've seen the Niners, you know, had a couple of chances, but if you don't pick it up, if you don't get it within a certain window, it's really hard to reach the Super Bowl, right? So I did want to talk about this game, and I know we've been going back and forth, and I know that you just mentioned this earlier. The spread in this game has gotten out of control. I believe it's at 7.5 the last time we spoke. If not, it probably got even higher.
I think it's at 8 now.
So, you know, considering everything that we've been talking about, right, I believe that you guys still... Now, the spread is not a good spread. It's not a favorable spread for the Broncos. It's what they call a public bet, right? So those of you who want to bet...
I think it's like 80% of everybody saying that we're going to win. And I think we're like the number 1 betted team to win the AFC West, actually.
I mean, this game is going to go for the Broncos for sure. I mean, I believe so. 7.5, I think, is still, again, not a bet I would normally take. But considering, you know, the strategy that I want to use, I would still take Denver here because you have a rookie quarterback, right? It's going to be his first game against an elite defense. All you got to do is get a couple of turnovers and you have a 14-point lead, right? They have no weapons. And didn't some guys just get hurt on their team?
Yeah, Tyler Spear, but he's not like a main focal point of their weapons. They still got Tony Pollard and Tyler Lockett. They got some guys. My only concern is that the preseason has not been well for us as far as offense. You know, when I would only say our biggest upside is that Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, a lot of these emerging wide receivers did show a lot of promise. But the first team offense was struggling, and that is my only concern. I'm not afraid about the defense. Like I've been saying, that is our strength. It's what's going to happen with year 2 of Bo. Because there is a sophomore slump. Are we going to see a sophomore slump? And it's week 1. There's just too many variables for me to feel confident about covering a 7.5. And then maybe if it moves to an 8.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's a pretty good point. This is why I think they cover it, right? Like I said, the defense is going to... They're going to take care of that part of the field. And I just don't see the Titans doing anything against you guys, right? Unless you guys are struggling on offense, you just can't put up points. But is there anybody on that team on the defense that scares you to be like, oh, wow, like, yeah, you guys are struggling on offense, but is there anybody on that defense that you can name and that's like, oh, wow, they're going to give me a hard time?
I mean, not at the top of my head, but like I said, I mean, if you've been a Broncos fan, you've been watching this team for years, and we haven't not had offense since Peyton Manning left. And that's why everybody reveres that guy and misses him so freaking much. And this year, we don't have a spectacular, a bunch of skill positions. We just signed Evan Ingram and signed J.K. Dobbins. Those guys are not 90 overall on Madden. And I'm not using Madden as a reference, but Madden does get their 90s and above correct. About as far as the other guys, who knows? But that being said, we don't have a prolific offense. We do have an amazing offensive line. With Garrett Bowles and Quentin Myers. I would say that Quentin Myers is probably the best guard in the game. But I just don't feel confident because, like I said, the continuity's there, but it's mainly based on defense. And I just don't see this team trying to risk things on offense, whether it's, taking things on first down or taking shots opposed to taking field goals. And that's why I feel like right now it's kind of scary. It's a scary number to look at, considering that we're a defensive team. And then when you look at other lines, like when this team's gonna fucking suck, you just know they're gonna suck because they have no talent. The Saints, they're a +5. I'm not saying the Cardinals are fucking amazing, but we all know the Saints are dog shit and they're fucking horrible. They just have an aging Alvin Kamara. Everybody knows that they're trying to get Archie Manning, and they're still getting 5. So that's why I'm like 8. Like we don't have it's not like we're the Eagles and we have like Devontae Adams and AJ Brown, and we're known for offense and we're known for destroying people and dismantling them, scoring a lot of points. We're known for keeping things low. You're not gonna score more than 20 on us, but we'll probably get around 24, 25. If you look at all our games from last season, most of those games that we won were between 2 or 4 points. It wasn't. The only time we blew somebody out was against the Saints. And again, the team fucking sucks.
All right. So, based on what you just said, you don't feel confident with the spread. Fine. That's reasonable. Again, it is not a bet I would normally make because I don't like taking those kinds of spreads. But I personally still would take the Broncos because I can see this game getting out of hand with a couple of turnovers. It's a rookie quarterback, rookie quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, he's a number 1 pick, but this is for me what sold it for me, right? And I don't know if you saw this in the offseason. I think it was the first week of training camp or maybe like mini camp. I think they asked the coaches. One of the reporters asked the coaches, does this team have, are these Super Bowl contenders? I mean, that's a fucked up question to ask a team that is basically rebuilding, right? But the coaches laughed. They didn't even know what to say, how to answer that question. I think they obviously didn't want to say no because, I mean, if you say no, then the team's not going to want to play. But if you say yes, you're lying to your team. So they were like, they just kind of laughed it off. You're like, you know what? We're going to do our best to win every single game out there, right? And then secondly, when they asked Cam Ward, I think he's something about along the lines of this team is mid. So you don't say, as a quarterback, you don't say that shit about your team, right? The team is not a good football team. And yes, again, the spread is shitty. It's not good. But if there's going to be a blowout in any kind of game, I think these are the kind of games where blowouts happen because they're a brand new football team. They have your team has continuity. Their team doesn't have it. Everything is new for them. They have to learn everything else while you guys are picking it up. You might start off slow in the beginning of the game, rusty. But as the game progresses, I just see you guys getting a couple of pick sixes, a couple of fumbles, strip sacks. Even if you win by a field goal and a touchdown, you cover the spread. So all you need is 2 scores to win this game. I could see you guys winning a 20-10. 24-14, right? Like you said, they're not going to score more than 20 points on you. And I think you guys can score, not on offense, right? All you guys need is a couple of turnovers within scoring range. Even if you kick a couple of field goals, you cover the spread. So I believe Broncos still do it. Considering, again, nobody on that team scares me. They don't have anybody that I can say off the top of my head that's a weapon on that team. It's like, oh my God, that team has so-and-so. Even Cam Ward, he's a rookie. Like, yeah, he's talented, but I don't believe that he's good enough to win it himself. This team reminds me of the 2015 Bucks, and they had way more talent on offense. And what happened to James Winston in his first game? 42-14.
Well, I get that. I mean, obviously our defense is definitely elite, And anytime you go up against a rookie quarterback, it's never a good situation. It's just a huge number that, as a Broncos fan, we're not familiar with. We haven't been favorite, and they're not even been favorite like this in a long time. Even when we had our Peyton Mannings, Demarius, and Von Millers of the world. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying as far as like, there's nobody on that side that scares me. And, you know, Cam Ward is a rookie. And obviously we have the number one defense. But defense doesn't always score. You know, defensive touchdowns are pretty rare. That's not something that happens on a week-to-week basis. Granted, Nick Bonito did have a couple pick sixes and PS2, but that's what made last year special, and that's why he was Defensive Player of the Year. To be relying on that week in, week out is not something that you want as a team. I mean, obviously you want to be able to create turnovers, but you don't want your defense to be the one scoring the points. You want your offense to be scoring the points. And right now, as much as I believe in Evan Ingram, you know, and I love Bo Nix, I just don't see us as an offensive juggernaut. When I've seen offensive juggernaut, you know, I've seen the Peyton Mannings and the pre-snap reads. And right now, I just got to understand who we are and what our identity is. We're going to be a boring fucking team. We're going to hold people to less than 14, maybe 20 points max, depending on who they have. And we're going to play safe, chill football. We're going to be midnight playing Madden. We're going to keep the ball away from you. We're not going to let you score. We're probably going to score 20 points max, because I really don't see this team scoring a shit ton of points. And just kind of keep it safe. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. And, you know, with the new contract, Cortland Sutton, he just steps up into the field. And the emergence of Troy Franklin, maybe he changed the number to number 11 now instead of 16. Goes back to that college number where that Oregon connection starts picking up. Because last year he was open a line, just had a fuck ton of drops. He had them Jerry Jeudy hands, you know. But for week one, it's just too big of a number for me to feel comfortable to say, yes, we're going to fucking dominate this team. And we're going to fucking cover the spread. Yes, we're going to win, but to cover the spread goes against everything that I've been believing about this team and how we're going to be winning.
Well, you know your team better than I do. So, I mean, if that's what you think is going to happen, then, you know, I think we'll leave it at that. Based on what we just said, what do you think the score is going to be?
Like I said, it's not going to be a high-scoring game. I see us probably scoring 17 and maybe 10. And even then, that probably won't be good enough to cover the spread if it's 7.5.
You're right. That wouldn't be good enough. That would be you're missing by half a point. All right. So that does that. So anything else that we should look out for this team? I know you mentioned that they're going to be winning ugly, like, you know, old school Buck teams. I can definitely relate to those kind of games. Anything else that you want to cover? Do you want to talk about a football team that nobody knows or they should look out for because, you know your team better than we do?
Well, I don't just watch my team. I'm a football fan. And a guy you got to remember I've been talking about for a while. I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year. You won't laugh at me now. Go ahead. It's going to be Cam Scatterboo, running back from the New York Giants. That guy, I think he's gonna wreak some havoc. And of course, your guy, I feel like he has a chance to be Rookie of the Year in Buka because of the situation that he has with Chris Godwin and the aging Mike Evans. He just might emerge as the number one wide receiver in that pass-happy offense. You know, and as far as us, you know, I feel like Evan Ingram is going to be our number one weapon on offense. You know, so if anybody does want to take anybody on offense, it's probably going to be him. He's probably going to get a boatload of the catches and yards. And I think, you know, hopefully before the season starts, I think we're going to re-sign Nick Bonito because if you've been paying attention to the Broncos, you know, they're the Walmart family. They take care of their own. So, you know, whether it's Cortland Sutton, PS2. We got PS2. He was the highest paid corner. Now he's like number 7 paid corner, and he is the number 1 corner. So this team is pretty smart. We're not going to be like the Cowboys and trade away our best player in his prime for 2 first-round picks to a team in the playoffs that's bounced you out. What the fuck is wrong with these idiots? I get it, Jerry Jones. You traded Herschel Walker, but you got 4 first-round picks, dude. This is not there. Or whatever.
All right, we got a little off topic with that stuff, but anywho, you know, thank you again for coming over here and making it happen. Hopefully next time I do this, we have 2 mics. For whatever reason, another mic wasn't working. We made it work. First time we actually got to do this, you know, together, and we have a camera. So hopefully we do this more often. And that camera, you know, came in clutch. We're going to try to upload stuff on YouTube too. do a couple of clips, make some predictions. Any bold predictions, for week 1?
Well, like I said it, Broncos AFC West. The reign is over. They're not going to get to 10. We're taking the AFC West, guys. I'm sorry to talk that shit.
There you have it, talk that shit. Hope your episode is as hard as this one because he made a bold statement. All right, on to the next one. This is Flo and my co-host, Adam Shifty. Peace out, y'all.